You add a second WhatsApp business number to the same phone your first one already lives on, and within a day both of them are gone. No warning you can appeal, no reason you can act on, just two accounts logged out and a screen asking you to verify a number that will not verify. WhatsApp looked at one device trying to hold two business identities and decided the whole thing was suspicious. Today I want to explain why that happens and why a real device for every number is the only setup that holds up. I run more than 100 real cloud Android phones in Singapore, genuine Samsung handsets, each on its own persistent Singapore mobile IP and its own real carrier SIM, reachable over an AdBeep endpoint with an API to list and lock any phone in the fleet. So here is the verdict up front. WhatsApp is built around one number living on one real phone, and the moment you try to bend that rule with emulators, modded apps, or a stack of numbers on one machine, you are fighting the exact pattern its safety team hunts for. Let me show you what it actually checks. WhatsApp is unusual among apps because the account is the phone number. There is no username to fall back on, no email login, nothing but the number and the device holding it. When you register, the app ties that number to that specific handset, and it expects the two to stay together. Move the number to a new device, and WhatsApp treats it as a fresh event worth scrutinizing, because a number hopping between phones is exactly what a hijacked account looks like. Registration itself runs through the network in a way an emulator cannot fake honestly. You enter the number, WhatsApp sends a one-time code by SMS or a short call, and the code has to arrive on the same line you are registering, on a real cloud phone with a real Singapore carrier SIM. That code lands on the device itself, the app reads it, and the number verifies the way a normal customers would. There is a real SIM behind a real number, so there is nothing to spoof. Now picture the shortcut most people reach for first. An emulator on a laptop, a modded WhatsApp client that promises many accounts at once, a virtual number bought from a website. Every one of those trips a wire. The emulator has no real telephony stack and a built fingerprint that gives it away. The modded client is unofficial and flagged on site. The virtual number belongs to a range WhatsApp already associates with throwaway signups. The app is not guessing here, it is matching a pattern it has seen a million times. The deeper rule is one number per device. WhatsApp does not want many separate business identities crowded onto a single machine because a real person carries one work number on one phone. Cram 5 numbers onto one emulator or run 5 sessions of one rooted handset, and you have built the exact shape of an account form. Even if every number is a legitimate business you own, the container gives you away before the content ever gets a chance. A fleet of real cloud phones answers that cleanly because each number gets its own genuine handset. One phone, one SIM, one number, the way WhatsApp expects, except the phone lives in a rack in Singapore instead of a drawer on your desk. From your side, it is a wall of live screens in the browser, but from WhatsApp's side, each account is just one ordinary person on one ordinary phone. You get the scale you need without ever collapsing many identities onto one device, and the phone staying put is half the value. Each number keeps the same device and the same persistent Singapore mobile IP session after session, so the account never looks like it teleported. An identity that logs in from Singapore on Monday, a data center in Frankfurt on Tuesday, and a random proxy in Brazil on Wednesday is a textbook compromise signal. An identity that shows up on the same real Singapore carrier every single day looks like a person with a job and a phone, which is precisely what it is. If your customers are in Singapore, that local network is not a detail, it is the whole point. A real Singapore carrier SIM means the number is a genuine local number, the kind your customers will actually save and message, and the login sits on a local mobile IP that matches where the business really operates. A Singapore business chatting to Singapore customers should look like it is in Singapore, not like it is being run from a server farm on the other side of the world. Here is where this earns its keep. Say you run an agency and you manage WhatsApp business for a dozen clients, each with their own number, their own catalog, their own conversations. You cannot legitimately put all 12 on one phone, and you certainly cannot hand each client a burner handset from a shelf. A fleet of cloud phones gives every client a dedicated real device you reach from one browser, so you switch between them like tabs, while WhatsApp only ever sees 12 separate, well-behaved businesses. Or say you are one business that genuinely needs several numbers. A sales line, a support line, a returns line, maybe a separate number for a second brand or a second country. WhatsApp is happy for a company to run many numbers. It just wants each one on its own device, behaving like its own account. Put each number on its own cloud phone and you get that separation for real, with no risk of one careless action on the support line dragging the sales line down with it. And it is worth clearing up a common confusion here, because WhatsApp does offer a multi-device feature of its own. That feature lets one account mirror onto a few extra screens, a desktop, a tablet, a second view of the same number. It does not hand you a second number, and it does not separate two businesses. It is one identity shown in more places at once. What an agency actually needs is the opposite of that, many distinct identities that never touch each other, and the only clean way to get there is to put every number on its own real device with its own SIM. Onboarding a new number is where a lot of setups quietly die, and a real device makes it survivable. A brand new WhatsApp business account is fragile in its first days, and the fastest way to lose it is to register it somewhere that already smells wrong. Then blast 100 messages on day one. On a real cloud phone, you register the number cleanly on a real SIM, warm it up at a human pace, and let it settle into a normal rhythm before it carries any real load. The device is not what gets it banned, so the only variable left is your own behavior. And I have to be blunt about that behavior, because a real phone is not a shield for bad practice. WhatsApp watches how a number acts, not just the device under it. Message strangers who never opted in, send the same block of text to 500 people an hour, get reported again and again, and you will lose the number no matter how genuine the handset is. The real device removes the technical red flags. It does not remove the need to actually run a real, consented, rule-following business on the line. Limitan pemakaian yet. Yes, a cloud phone is reachable over AdDeep, so you can script the boring parts, back up chats, rotate a screen, keep the app alive. But WhatsApp's own rules are strict about automated messaging. And the right way to send at real volume is their official business API, not a robot tapping the consumer app. Use the real device for genuine human-paced operation and for the official tooling, not for pretending a script is a person. That line is where accounts stay alive. With that boundary clear, a real cloud phone lets you do the legitimate work properly. You register and hold numbers that stay verified. You scan the login for WhatsApp Business on a real screen. You receive the one-time codes on the device. You run the official catalog and quick replies, and you watch every conversation land live in the browser. It behaves like the phone on your desk because underneath the rack and the network it simply is one. It also changes how a team works. Because the phone lives in the cloud and you drive it from a browser, more than one person can be trusted with a client's number without a single physical handset ever changing hands. A colleague picks up the support line while you are asleep, an assistant keeps the catalog current, and nobody is carrying a phone across town or passing a SIM around. The device stays in one place in Singapore, holding one steady identity, and access to it is just a login you can grant and revoke. The reason people do not just buy a shelf of phones for this is that a real device lab is a genuine job. One number per handset means one physical phone per client or per line, each with a SIM that costs money every month, each needing charging without cooking the battery, each needing to be reachable from wherever you happen to be working. Do that for 2 numbers and it is a weekend of cable management. Do it for 20 and it is a full-time role that has nothing to do with the clients you are actually trying to serve. And let me be fair about the limits, because a real device does not make WhatsApp gentle. Numbers still get banned when they break the rules, appeals are still slow and often silent, and there is a little more latency reaching a phone in a rack than a handset in your hand. A real device removes the one thing you cannot argue with, the device and network looking fake. Everything after that is still ordinary discipline. Run the numbers you are allowed to run, the way you are allowed to run them. That is the whole reason cloudf.one exists. Real Samsung handsets in Singapore on dedicated hardware, each with its own persistent Singapore mobile IP on a real carrier SIM, Singtel, StarHub, M1 or Vivify. Not an emulator, not a modded client, not a virtual number, a genuine phone that registers and holds a real WhatsApp business number because it is exactly what it claims to be. You reach each one over an ADB endpoint, list and lock it through an API, and watch the screen live in your browser. Start at cloud.one and use code YT30 on your first month. So to recap, WhatsApp ties one number to one real device, it verifies through a real SIM, and it treats emulators, modded clients, and stacks of numbers on one machine as exactly the account form they resemble. One real phone for every number, each on a persistent Singapore mobile IP, gives you the fleet without the pattern, so an agency or a growing business can run many numbers that each look like one ordinary person on one ordinary phone. WhatsApp trusts a real number on a real phone and very little else. So give every number a real phone, run it honestly, and keep the line open. I'll see you in the next one.